Jonah 1 verse 17 to 2 verse 10. Now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. He said, "In my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead I called for help, and you listened to my cry. You hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled around me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple. The engulfing waters threatened me, the deep surrounded me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. To the roots of the mountains I sank down. The earth beneath barred me in forever. But you, Lord my God, brought my life up from the pit. When my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols turn away from God's love for them. But I, with shouts of grateful praise, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will make good. I will say, salvation comes from the Lord. And the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. Jonah runs away from God. God tells him to go to Nineveh to preach God's message. Jonah runs in the opposite direction. He goes down to Joppa and boards a ship for Tarshish, the famous holiday resort. God pursues Jonah with a storm. This puts the whole ship in jeopardy. Jonah goes down below deck and sleeps. They wake up Jonah. They draw lots to find out who is responsible for the storm. The Lord falls on Jonah. I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven and earth, who made the sea and the dry land. God is pursuing me with this violent storm. I am running away from the Lord. If you know what is good for you, throw me overboard. Somehow Jonah becomes remorseful about his actions and is willing to sacrifice himself for the sailors. The sailors throw Jonah overboard. The sea comes down. Jonah goes down even further, this time into the depths of the sea. How long can a man survive the Mediterranean Sea? So how long can Jonah survive the sea? Let's give him 2 minutes. When I was about 12 years old, holidaying in Penang, Malaysia, I nearly drowned as I went too far into the sea. My swimming was not as good as I thought it was. Fortunately, my uncle from Singapore rescued me and I was saved from going under. Jonah wakes up, coughing up water. It is all dark. He thinks he is in the realm of the dead. He thinks that he is dead from drowning. In the Old Testament understanding of death, the realm of the dead is traditionally known as Sheol. Jonah thinks that he is in Sheol. Jonah starts to speak. To his surprise, he finds out he is not dead. He can speak. It is all dark, but he is not dead. For us, it might look like a disaster to be swallowed up by a large fish. However, the belly of the fish is the place of salvation for Jonah. If it were not for the belly of the fish, Jonah would be dead from drowning. Through the belly of the fish, God saves Jonah from drowning. Jonah might not know he is in the belly of a big fish. He is thankful that he is alive. He realizes that although he has tried to run away from God, God is still gracious and allows him to live. Yet it is dark. He is cold and alone. All Jonah can do is pray. He said, in my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From the deep in the realm of the dead I called for help, and you listened to my cry. Jonah 2 verse 2. The first thing that Jonah does is to thank God. God has saved him from drowning by providing this big fish. He cried out to God as he was drowning. God answered his prayer by providing this fish to swallow him up. There is air in this belly of the fish. Jonah can breathe. Jonah is thankful to be alive, yet Jonah is trapped. It is all dark. He has nowhere else to go. How can he survive? Jonah engages in an honest conversation with God. Jonah 2:3-6. You hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled about me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight, yet I will look again towards your holy temple. The engulfing waters threatened me. The deep surrounded me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. To the roots of the mountains I sank down. The earth beneath barred me in forever. But you, Lord my God, brought my life up from the pit. Jonah 2, verses 3 to 6. The prayer of Jonah in the belly of the fish illustrates what happens to us in life. As we go on through life, we find ourselves trapped in fishy situations. We are caught with our backs against the wall in the belly of a fish with no place to go except to pray. The belly of a fish is a metaphor for a place that we feel that we are stuck in. It might be that we are in between jobs and are not successful in our job search. It might be that we are stuck with a health diagnosis in our lives and find it difficult to experience healing. Or we are looking after someone we love in our lives and find that we have no more resources to carry on. How can we survive? Twice in this prayer, even as Jonah struggles with his situation, he is confident that he will look again to God in his holy temple. Somehow Jonah has this inkling in his heart that God is looking down on him from his holy temple, no matter how dark it is. After this honest conversation with God, admitting to his wrongdoing in running away from God, Jonah appeals to God. When my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols turn away from God's love for them. But I, with shouts of grateful praise, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will make good. I will say, salvation comes from the Lord. And the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. Jonah 2, verses 7 to 10. Jonah prays his heart out before God. And when he prays, he can only see life from his perspective, the human angle. He is grateful that the Lord has rescued him from the belly of Sheol, if you like, or the realm of the dead. But he is still in the belly of the fish. There is not only the smell of digestive juices and small fish in that belly, there is also the smell of death. He might die in that belly of the fish. God has saved Jonah. God is saving Jonah. God will save Jonah. From the point of view of the past, God has saved him. Here was Jonah almost drowning as the waves swamped him. Seaweed was around him. He was banished from God's sight. He called, God answered. He cried, God listened. God sent a fish to swallow him. He is now in a place where he can breathe. Jonah 2 verse 6 provides us with a contrast regarding the two saving actions of God towards Jonah. Jonah sinks down to the roots of the mountain, and the earth beneath him barred him forever. In Hebrew imagery, going down below the earth means dying. Then he says, but you, Lord my God, brought my life from the pit. This is resurrection talk. God brought him up from the realm of the dead. God has saved him. In the present, God is saving Jonah. Jonah is in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Jonah might be in the belly of the fish, but he is not dead yet. He is breathing. And you might also wonder how Jonah survives nutritionally during those 3 days and 3 nights. My guess, as repulsive as it seems to us, is that he feeds on whatever he can get at in the belly of that fish. What's more, it's dark. He probably is grateful that he cannot see what he's eating or drinking. God is providing some sustenance for him. Jonah, in the belly of the fish, prays his guts out. He uses every form of prayer available to him. 3 days and 3 nights can be a long time for a person who has nothing to do but to sit in the belly of the fish. In fact, he is all alone by himself. So Jonah is forced to face his God. He cannot flee from him now. God has caught up with him. Therefore, I wonder if God has put Jonah in the belly of the fish so that all he can do is pray. The belly of the fish for Jonah, though it is close to death, is the sanctuary of God's presence. In the belly of the fish, Jonah develops his relationship with God. In the belly of the fish, God develops his relationship with Jonah. God may have wanted Jonah to find him, God, in Nineveh, but Nineveh is far away. God arranges that Jonah finds God in the belly of a fish. Our God is a saving God. The experience of Jonah praying in the belly of the fish reminds us that our God is a saving God. God has saved Jonah. God saved Jonah from drowning. God provided the belly of the fish to do this. God not only saved Jonah, God is saving Jonah. In the experience of prayer in the belly of the fish, God is saving Jonah through the experience of prayer. Jonah cannot run away from God. God speaks to him on the ship. God speaks to him in the belly of the fish. God not only saved Jonah, God is saving Jonah. Finally, God will save Jonah. After his experience of prayer in the belly of the fish, God commands the fish and it vomits Jonah onto dry land. When Alex, not his real name, finished his 4-year bachelor degree in accounting, he was quite sure that he was going to be an accountant. When he visited his former youth pastor in Alberta in the summer following school, he started having second thoughts about becoming an accountant. He was always a volunteer youth leader. When he visited his former youth pastor and spent the weekend with the youth group, he wondered whether he should become a teacher instead. A year later, Alex started on a 1-year teacher's college. When he graduates teacher's college, Alex has a problem finding a teaching job. He can't even get into substitute teaching positions. It is around this time he breaks up with his girlfriend of 4 years. Alex is devastated. As his pastor, I decided that I should meet with him for a chat and a prayer every month. I feel for him. I can honestly say that the two challenges that Alex is going through at that time, I too have experienced in my life. The pain of unemployment and the pain of a broken relationship. I can understand the pain that Alex is going through. I keep on praying for Alex. Eventually, 2 years later, Alex gets a permanent teaching job with the Halton School Board. He marries the lady he broke up with. Today, they have 2 young children. Walking and praying with Alex through those uncertain times in his life is like a Jonah-like experience in the belly of a fish. Alex does finish his university studies. He does get his bachelor's degree in accounting and is relatively debt-free as a university graduate. In this sense, God has saved Alex. God has provided for Alex. God has enabled him to finish his university studies. However, Alex is not sure if he wants to be an accountant. He just broke up with his girlfriend. As we pray through these struggles, we somehow knew that God is saving Alex. But in what manner, we did not know how. Today, Alex is married to his girlfriend. They have 2 young children. He is settled in his teaching career. God will save Alex as more troubles may come his way. God has saved us. God is saving us. God will save us. We pray.